Welcome to today's explainer. Have you ever wondered how some people just seem to glide effortlessly through the airport? Well, today we are diving into the hidden rules that keep airports running. It turns out there are all these small, subtle signals that experienced staff read every single day. And the travelers who understand these almost magical rules, they're the ones who breeze through the exact same terminals that leave everyone else stranded, sweaty, and stuck at the back of a really long line.
Picture this, because we've all kind of seen it happen. There is a moment at every airport when a quiet decision gets made about a passenger, and honestly, almost nobody notices it. A gate agent glances down at a screen, sees one empty seat, and just gives it away. And the person who just lost that seat, they're usually standing about 40 feet down the concourse, happily gripping a fresh cup of coffee. They looked at their boarding pass and were absolutely certain they still had plenty of time, but they don't. By the time they stroll up to the podium, the only thing left to hand them is an apology.
So let's map out our itinerary for today's explainer and make sure that doesn't happen to you. We're going to cover 1. Beating the airport clock, 2. Surviving security waves, 3. Mastering the departure gate, and 4. Navigating layovers and cancellations.
All right, first stop on our journey, beating the airport clock. Okay, here is the absolute biggest trap in the entire terminal. Your printed departure time is not your deadline. You might see departs 3:40 on your boarding pass, and naturally, somewhere in the back of your mind, 3:40 becomes the moment you need to be in your seat. But staff literally never read it that way. To them, 3:40 is the moment the aircraft is supposed to actually start moving away from the building. Before that happens, the door has to close, the jet bridge has to pull back, and a final head count has to be completed. On a lot of airlines, boarding actually ends a full 15 minutes before that printed time. If you stroll up at 3:31, sure, you can see the plane right there through the glass, but that door is shut tight. Reopening it means fresh paperwork and a brand new passenger count, which they just aren't going to do. Staff work backward from departure, and you really should too. Find the boarding cutoff time and set your own personal deadline to be at the gate 5 or 10 minutes before that.
Now, checking in on your phone? That absolutely does not mean your bag is checked in. Your suitcase is running on a completely separate clock, usually with a super strict 45-minute cutoff before departure. That's because your bag has its own massive journey to make through conveyors, screening areas, getting onto the right cart, and a long drive across the ramp. To ensure your bag doesn't take a solo vacation without you, the data points to a few crucial steps. First, peel off all those old barcode stickers before you even leave home. Those expired tags completely confuse the automated scanners. Keep exactly one sturdy name tag on the back. Always double-check that 3-letter destination code when the agent tags it. I mean, mixing up PDX in Oregon for PWM in Maine makes for a very strange vacation. And lastly, guard that little baggage receipt with your life.
Moving right along, let's talk about Section 2, Surviving Security Waves.
So most of us fall into this trap where we assume a security checkpoint is simply crowded today or quiet today, almost like the weather. Just random, right? But it turns out airline schedules actually cluster into banks of flights. A dozen departures might leave inside the exact same hour, which pushes hundreds of people toward the very same checkpoint all at once. So a line that looks completely empty at 4:45 can become an absolute wall of humanity by 5:05. The same surge happens when a commuter train unloads or the international counters suddenly open up.
So instead of just blindly joining the very first snaking line you spot, a little bit of homework goes an incredibly long way here. First, just check the MyTSA app or the airport's official site for wait times and open hours. Second, and this is absolutely critical, confirm that the checkpoint actually connects to your concourse. At some airports, a slightly farther checkpoint is dramatically emptier, but at others, going to the wrong entrance strands you on entirely the wrong side of security. Take a breath, compare the lines, and choose smartly. Suffering in that first line is definitely not mandatory.
Which brings us to Section 3, Mastering the Departure Gate.
Listen closely to this one. Never just follow your flight number, follow your actual airplane. Staff understand that an evening flight is often just one little link in a very long operational chain. That same plane might have woken up in Dallas, flown to Denver, hopped to Phoenix, and only then turned into your flight. And every single delay it collected along the way rides right along with it. Use your airline's app to track the incoming aircraft. If your flight boards in 40 minutes, but your plane is literally still parked in another state, well, that tells you the schedule is extremely fragile. Treat the incoming aircraft as your early warning system. And remember, landed doesn't mean ready. It still has to taxi, empty out, and get cleaned.
There's a really critical mindset shift required here. Passengers tend to treat the gate on their boarding pass like a hotel room number. Staff treat it like a rough draft, because gates change constantly. A plane arrives late, maintenance pulls one out of service, or a swapped aircraft suddenly needs a different kind of gate. This starts a massive terminal-wide ripple effect, and your aircraft could easily end up 3 concourses away. If your gate changes, move first and ask questions later. Do not stand guard at an abandoned podium waiting for an explanation while the rest of the plane quietly walks over to the new gate.
All right, so you've found your final correct gate. You're early. Perfect. Now, I have a bit of a counterintuitive question for you. Where is the absolute worst place you could possibly sit at the airport? Think about it for a second. It is the seat directly next to your gate podium. I know every instinct screams at you to grab that closest chair so you don't miss the boarding call. But that immediate gate area is a total trap. It is the loudest, most crowded, least comfortable corner of the concourse. It's an active workspace for agents, for wheelchairs, and for ticketing problems. Worse, when boarding starts, an eager mob of early boarders crowds forward, literally trapping you in your seat. And here is the kicker. The acoustics are terrible. The overhead speakers are designed to throw sound across the room, not straight down onto the chairs right beneath them, so you actually miss the announcements. The sweet spot? Settle in near the next gate over. Stay close enough to see the display and hear the calls, but far enough away to actually breathe.
Finally, we reach Section 4, Navigating Layovers and Cancellations.
When you book a ticket, the system uses something called minimum connection time, which is just the absolute shortest layover the airline is willing to sell. A lot of travelers assume it's a recommendation. It is not. Understanding this terrifying math is absolutely crucial. Let's say you have a legal 45-minute connection. Well, you lose 10 minutes just taxiing to the gate, and another 10 minutes waiting to get off the plane. You lose 15 minutes walking to the new concourse, maybe taking one of those terminal trains. And remember, boarding closes 15 minutes before departure, which shaves off another 5 minutes of your layover. That 45-minute connection, it just gave you exactly 5 usable minutes to sprint. Always buy a bigger cushion, especially at the large hubs.
Now, if the absolute worst happens and your flight is canceled, the winner is not the person who is first in line at the podium. The winner is the person who starts solving the problem first. The gate agent isn't hiding a spare airplane in their drawer, and everyone in that physical line is fighting for a shrinking handful of remaining seats across the entire network. The instant your flight cancels, you have to multitask. Open the app and look for self-rebooking. Search alternative hubs yourself. Get in the physical line, yes, for sure, but call the airline on your phone at the exact same time. The inventory can vanish through the app or website while the physical crowd just stands there staring at the podium. Whichever channel solves it first wins.
And according to the insights from our source material, giving the agent a targeted solution works best. When you do finally reach a real live human being, whether on the phone or at the desk, do not just ask, "What can you do for me?" They are super stressed and dealing with hundreds of angry people. Using a script like, "I can see flight 642 through Denver has 2 seats open, can you protect me on that one?" is highly effective. By feeding them the specific flight number and routing, you make their job incredibly easy, and they are much more likely to just click the button and secure your seats before anyone else gets them. You see, these secrets aren't about having good luck. They are about reading the exact same clues the airport staff read just a few minutes before everyone else does. So I want to leave you with a final thought to ponder today. Are you just reacting to your travel, letting the terminal happen to you, or are you steering it with quiet confidence? Which of these source insights are you going to use to take back control on your next journey? Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. And hey,